What's going on, guys? It's Guru again. We're here for another I can't say analysis, mini analysis. So, today we have Game 2 again. I found so many great clips from Game 2. It's a really good game, really interesting game. So, this episode we're going to look at OpTic, Kinguin, GodRez and Tempo Storm and analysing how this rotation from Severny in this circle works. As I think this is a really interesting part of the game, and I think this is going to show a lot of interest in rotations and strategies from the teams. So, I hope you guys are looking forward to this. I've been loving the look of this this clip for a long while, and I think it's going to go down really well. So, first I'm going to show you the clip from Dreamhack with the cast and everything. Then I'm going to break it down, a little bit of a map overview, and thinking about where I think they should have gone and what they should have done. And then after that, I'll do a breakdown, watching over the video and showing out what happens and what could have happened, etc. And then we'll switch over to a mental fitness coach and have a look at how they think the mentality of the players were affecting their performance here. So look forward to that. If you like the video, drop a like down below and follow me on Twitter, etc. So enjoy the video, guys.
Flashbangs, anything that they can use just to cover large distances, and yep, right out in the middle of the open. This is about to become this is just carnage. That's all that's going to happen.
So we've got the three teams that are inside Severny, basically are all going to push on towards OpTic because it's just Valiant and Hip-Hop holding the ditch just to the south, the east, sorry, of Severny. That's really the only way they can go, because that's the only circle that's available. Packcaps has just been knocked. That's inside Severny. As I mentioned, these teams are kind of here. Everybody's kind of push the same direction. It's very hard for them to move out. Tempo Storm are going for it. They've chosen to take the vehicles. They're going to try and go around the side there as Poonage finds Vard's head. And the nades come through as well, and that's going to make him bleed out fast.
There are 3 squads all just trying to disengage from this. They have 28 seconds to make it inside the safe zone, so all 3 of these squads have to separate out, finish these fights, and then fight OpTic after this.
How are they going to push out of this, Kinguin? This is a fight they don't really either want to take because they know the blue's going to be on their back. Hetra's getting pushed, by the way, by Maluke there. We're seeing Vard. He is going to get the revive. The grenade came in, you saw it. Didn't quite bleed him out quick enough there. Down to 3 men as well, with Larson going down earlier. As Gaxi looks for the fight.
Tempo actually managed to separate out. They are in the safe circle on the other side of where the other duo for OpTic is at. So these two guys, these two duo squads, just need to fight themselves and manage to make it out. Baja Waka is just watching over to the side of it.
So this is it, right? OpTic knew the fight was coming. They left Hetra on his own. So they've actually moved 3 across, and Tempo Storm have basically took that advantage, moving in. Oh, the rotates are coming. Everybody's on the move now. I can see Face Guy moving, Dignitas are moving, the Knights are moving, Check, Shooter and Co. From Envy, they're having to come out as well. Team Secret are swinging around, just about everyone making the move as the circle begins to shrink.
See that? It's just chaos everywhere. As you can see, Poonage trying to run across. All these guys are still just trying to make it out, and it's just going to move into a no man's land. The OpTic is just waiting for this. You can see the OpTic's taking some pot shots right now over at the guys on Kinguin, so they're kind of caught up inside of that fight right now, but Hypoc is actually doing a great job of waiting for that next squad to come around. He's got the DP set and waiting for him.
OpTic needs to be careful, though, because just to the side of them, the Knights are coming in. They're going to have an angle where the Knights are stood, so they're trying to gatekeep these guys coming out of Severny, trying to hold them back, but every time they take shots, it's drawing everybody's attention their way. The Knights have clean angle on them. Meanwhile, we see Liquid there. They were obviously in the warehouse earlier on. They're going to try and get pushed, but they're holding their ground. Here's Kinguin. They're going to use the smokes to try and get out and get close to ground. Oh, Valiant's going to get a peek over there. Vard realizes the smoke is not enough. He gets in trouble. Baja Waka peeks over the side, and really the Kinguin, they have nowhere to go. They either push and fight in the back there. Miraku taking shots on the Knights. Their Knights are just getting gunned down. Gaxi, meanwhile, manages to find the guys in this town as Gaxi gets taken out by Baja Waka. Phaser lighting up Dignitas as well. Action all across the circle.
See that we still have the guys from Safe Res over there. They're trying to make it out. Blue's going to force him out. That whole fight was happening up the side, and OpTic just turns on them, gets the drop onto one of them.
FaZe Clan go out in 11th place. They've just been wiped out by Envious. They have got themselves that position earlier on. Dignitas come in, the circle shrinks down, and suddenly the fight for Severny that we knew OpTic were really holding the Stanley ground. They managed to keep them at bay. Just little Prodigy out there trying to...
Okay, let's have a look at the rotations that have to happen here for all the teams. So let's first look at OpTic. OpTic have got 2 members here and 2 members here. So this is a 2-2 split. Before the circle popped, they set this up so they had as much ownership of the circle as possible, so that wherever the circle moved, they were most likely to be in. So this is a perfect strategy, a typical strategy that teams will implement in their game. So, but we know for a fact that all of the Severny teams are going to have to move out of Severny. So what we see happen is Bahawaka actually does a rotation over to his boys at the hill here. There's a nice little hill here that you can't see on the map too well, but basically that hill is perfect defilade. No one can see you from any angle other than, well, any angle at all, and you can peek over the ridge and then start shooting into Severny essentially. So this is the ridge OpTic are going to hold in order to defend the rotation from Kinguin, GodRez, and Tempo Storm. So we only see Bahawaka rotate over and not Hetror, which I think is personally a bit of a misplay. Right now I don't think it's a good idea for them to play one man up there. I think what they might have been thinking here is maybe a bit of scouting, a bit of knowledge. He can sort of get some information for the team about other teams rotating in. As we know, we've got Knights above him, Dignitas on his right, and FaZe, and all these teams on their right side, so they're going to need that information. So this guy could just be the guy holding the flank for them. But I still think they needed to play as a unit here, especially with the amount of people coming in through Severny here. So right, so that's OpTic. OpTic are in a fantastic position in the circle, and that's what we're basically looking at here. Tempo Storm, I think, are arguably in the best position here of all the 70 teams, which is not a great position in general, really, unfortunately. But they're at the top side, so that means they haven't got to run into this ditch where OpTic are at. So they haven't got because they're over here. They don't have to go towards the ditch just down here. So that means they are probably going to do a rotation sort of up around here sort of direction. They need to be very careful of Knights up here, because obviously Knights are going to be looking to rotate at the very same time. Now, lots of the teams in Severny don't have any vehicles either, so that's a big problem. You can't get into this circle on foot. There's no cover. It's just a straight run across a road. So Tempo Storm actually are the only team that have a vehicle in Severny. So they do a nice rotation along here, and we'll see later on in the video. I do believe it's Tempo Storm that actually kill Hetror that's holding this back position. So that's where we see the fact that this really holding OpTic Hetror there really wasn't a good idea, because he was just bound to die there. It was never really a good idea for him to stay there. The other three members held in the trench near Valeti, or Valatate, or whatever his name is. Sorry. So now we have GodRez and Kinguin left. They've been in an endless little fight in 70 for a long while. Now, neither of them have a good rotation. Neither of them have saved any cars. Now, this is a terrible, terrible misplay by them. Because neither of them have cars, and neither of them can get out of this circle. If they had a vehicle of some sort, they could probably at least try to rotate downwards, maybe. I think what I'd like to see Kinguin do is, if they had a vehicle, I'd like to see them rotate sort of along here. At least there you've got cover. You can't be seen by OpTic. You know, Liquid might be a threat, but they probably don't know about Liquid's position at this point in time. I mean, it's quite a long way away. So I'd like to see Kinguin come in at this sort of angle, come down and try to avoid OpTic altogether with vehicles. But unfortunately, because the circles had free circle pops within 70 and only just slightly moving out each time, no one's brought their vehicles with them other than Tempo Storm, who are already holding that position. So that's why they have the vehicles there. So because Kinguin don't have vehicles, they've got to run this on foot. So we'll have a look at how they do their rotation. But obviously, what they're going to do, because they're on foot, is they're going to have to just go like this. They can't go up because Tempo Storm and GodRez are up there, so they have to go down or straight into OpTic. And OpTic know this information, so they're obviously going to be holding that ridge and making sure no one gets past. GodRez are in just a worse position you can imagine. They've got Tempo Storm above them, and then they've got Kinguin below them. They probably hear Tempo Storm drive off when they drive off, but they decide to take fights with Kinguin and try to push at the same time with Kinguin, and they just ends up with a bit of a weird fight. We'll see this in the video that I'll shortly play over in a second. What I think I would have liked to see actually is I think what might have been a better rotation is just take the risk of going upwards here. I think I'd have liked to see GodRez trying to go up and around to where Tempo Storm drove in. It's probably the best play. I mean, there's very few plays that are going to work here. It's all open ground. They've got no vehicles. Trying to run through Kinguin just isn't a good idea. They're just going to end up dead, guaranteed, because they've got to run through Kinguin and OpTic. They're just not going to win two team fights like that with the circle on their back. They need to run up, take Tempo Storm's old location, and just try their best to use the cover around there and get in there. So that's the three teams we're going to be looking at. The four teams, sorry, that we're going to be looking at here. Tempo Storm, GodRez, Kinguin, and OpTic. So Tempo Storm are Team 1, GodRez are Team 6, Kinguin are Team 14, and OpTic are Team 7. So just in case you're curious. So these are how I think it should have been played out. OpTic, all they have to do is hold this circle. There's no way anywhere in this the edge of the circle here, nowhere here is safe at all. It's just open ground. So there's no good rotation for any of these teams. They're going to have to make aggressive, assertive rotations. So let's have a look at how it plays out, and we'll see if we can analyse what went well, what should have been done differently, etc. Okay, so we're going to start playing out the clip and let's have a look at what happens here. So we can see all the three teams there. We've got Tempo Storm at the top, GodRez in the middle, and Kinguin at the bottom. We can see right now, GodRez start making a push towards Kinguin. Again, I think this is a little bit of a misplay. So if I just pause again here, I don't think GodRez went the right direction here. I think if they needed to rotate, they needed to rotate upwards. There's so little real estate in the bottom side of the circle that I just don't think it's a good idea. Maybe they didn't know OpTic were there, but I'm pretty confident they should know that OpTic are there. If they don't, that's a terrible miscommunication, a poor understanding of the game, because OpTic have been shooting in that position. I think they've gone downwards because it's the closest side of the circle. They've only got to run like a couple of meters once they're outside of Severny here. So I think the reason they've gone for that is simply because they can maybe rotate quicker into the circle. I personally would have liked them to go upwards or played a little bit later and they could have either tried to take on Tempo Storm upwards, who we will later find out drive in the circle, or they should have just took the fight with Tempo Storm before they drove off. But instead they take the fight with Kinguin, which means they have to fight through two teams here, and that's just never going to work out. We see Pat Caps is already knocked by Vard. Vard are already on. Kinguin are already onto the case here. They already know about this. Lil Prodigy's got nice and far ahead. FlyQuest, Punage and Steezy BB are now exiting the church. They're going to have a hard run. Thankfully, there is some cover for Pat Caps and the crew, so they can hide behind that wall for the time being until they're ready. They can lie out some smokes. So let's have a look how it goes. We see Lil Prodigy pushes into this building probably. Kinguin Vard is in the building right next to this, so he needs to be very careful. Obviously, he's been really careful when entering the build just to make sure that it's safe. We see Kinguin Vard go down. He got very, very, very lucky that grenade did not kill him because he was holding a grenade when he got knocked. So he's very lucky that grenade didn't blow up in his face. We're also very lucky to see that Miracle here somehow managed to evade the sight of GodRez here. Pure luck it seems. It's very good timing that they just didn't see this here. Because if Miracle had been seen, he'd have been dead. The reason he's rushing across so aggressively here is simply because Vard has already been downed once, so his health is low. So he's making an aggressive push here. Meanwhile, we have one other Kinguin member holding the back lines right next to the road. So the reason he's still holding that position is he now knows that GodRez are now pushing on this position. So by holding the back lines, he means that no one can go for a flank option, and it means no one can sort of push in without them knowing. So if we continue to play, you see Punage is now going for that flank that I was just talking about. But we've got Gaxi at the back here, just holding the angle. So Gaxi just starts spraying down on them, just doing some damage where possible. And now, if we just look at the mini-map in the bottom right here, it's pretty hard to see, but there's 3 OpTic members now. So right now we can see that, we can see that 3 of them members there. That's so Bahawaka has moved over to this position. We can see that Tempo Storm have actually moved out of 70 completely. This is on a vehicle rotation. I just missed that on the mini-map, but they have moved over, and as you can see, Hetrol has got the kill on one of the Tempo Storm members. But you see what will happen if you watch the kill feeds, you'll actually see that Tempo Storm do end up killing Hetrol though. So again, I still feel like that position from him was not a good idea for him to play, and probably weakened them a bit. If they wanted him to be playing on the back foot from them and playing a bit of a flank position, he should have been playing a lot closer to his team, whereby they could potentially support him if need be. So we'll continue playing the clip, and as you can see, there's just shots going everywhere. It's just a bit of a warfare here. Neither of these teams want to be in this fight because it doesn't work. It doesn't help either of these two teams to be in this position. So OpTic is just holding this ridge. You can see they're not trying to peek too much. They're just trying to get information and work out where the people are. It'd be silly of them for any of them to get downed here. If any one of the OpTic members get downed here, it could really weaken their hold here. They need all of their members, and they need to wait until the circle forces the people across the road. Once they're forced across the road, we'll be able to see that they can literally just spray them all down without any fear. Simple and confident execution. So we can see GodRez are taking sort of a wide angle on Kinguin here. So GodRez are taking the bottom side of the town now, and Kinguin have moved up to the northern part of it more so. So we see now the circle is pushing them out of the zone, and there's smokes going out everywhere. So what we're going to see here is that they're just going to lay out a smoke field to try and protect them so they can get across the road. I think the first person to go is Vard, and I think here we'll see that I think there's a bit of a misplay from Vard here personally. So if we just watch what happens, we also see Knights at the top also, just as I mentioned. So I just want to pause here. So Vard sees the hill that OpTic are holding. What I'd like to see from Vard here is I'd like to see him get to the crest of this hill all out. He needs to be confident, he needs to be aggressive, he needs to be assertive. He needs to get to that hill, lie down, and anchor it for his team. Even if it means the rest of his team die, he needs to be the one, because he's the only person that's going to make it here by the looks of it. The rest of his team are looking really weak. OpTic have spending most of their efforts, as you can see. Valley 8 and Hypoc are holding GodRez mostly, because GodRez are now on the bottom side peeking and looking to die. So what we actually end up seeing is a bit of a strange thing from Vard. He starts getting shot at by Knights, and as a result sort of backs away from his push. Had he continued with his assertive and confident push, he would have been able to lie down on that hill without actually being seen anymore by Knights. He would have been just in cover, I believe. So by him moving away and trying to get to the woods, I believe there's a rock here actually just right next to him that he's trying to go to. But unfortunately, at that point, Bahawaka sees him and kills him. We now see Miracu trying to just get some free kills. At this point, Kinguin know they're dead. Kinguin know there's no way to cross here. So what they're doing is they're just trying to pick up some free points, basically. So they see Drayden on his knees. They just want to execute him, get some free points. We see Gaxi taking out GodRez, and they're all just taking what points they can. So what actually happens here is Miracu just spends so long trying to take this kill, and he can't mid up in time. He just dies. There's nothing he can really do about that there. He's gone and he knew he was dead, so he just went for the kills and tried his best. So that's Kinguin eliminated. They got outlasted by GodRez, which should never have happened given they had the better position. GodRez had a worse position, but alas, unfortunately, the positioning didn't work in their advantage there. So now we're going to see that the GodRez are going to attempt to make the cross here. So let's have a look at what happens. They've got no smokes. They've only got one smoke out and it's in a terrible position. They've put a smoke down. They've put a smoke down just inside the circle so they can lie down and start healing up. But they've got no cover. They've got to run into it. They've just got to run into OpTic here. There's nothing they can do. As I said earlier, they needed to have a vehicle so they could rotate hard downwards into cover, into safety. So we see what happens. They slowly get whittled down. We see Poonage does eventually get knocked, and then what we'll see is Lil Prodigy just dies to the circle shortly after. So as you can see, OpTic held that with confidence and dominance there. They didn't overpeak, they were just making sure they're getting information until the other teams were forced to make a play. And obviously with the circle they were forced to make a play. I'd have really liked to see OpTic play the 4-man here rather than 3-man, and that would allow them to keep their 4-man squad rather than losing one randomly in Narnia up there. So I think this is a really good play from OpTic. Really good. This all happened because they took a 2-2 split, and I'm a big fan of 2-2 splits because they allow you to get circle dominance, and circle dominance is something that's very powerful in competitive PUBG. So I'm really happy with the play. I think it was a very good play. I just think there was one slight misplay in the communication, and I really think rather than just Bahawaka coming over, I think both players should have came over from the 2-2 split, and they should have played from a unit. At this point in the game, when the circles are getting this small, you can't really play a 2-2 split. There's too many teams in a small circle. If you play a 2-2 split, you really will pay the consequences of doing it. It's fine to get the next circle up until about this sort of time, where the circle's like fairly big, but it was at this point where I feel like they made a bit of a mistake trying to hold him there. But that was in general quite a good play from OpTic. Unfortunate from GodRez. Tempo Storm, you can see, actually did make it through. So Tempo Storm did make a very good play on this. And actually what you'll find out in the rest of this game, if you haven't watched it, this is a bit of a spoiler, so please watch it if you haven't already. So Tempo Storm did actually come, I believe, second place in this game. So they actually went on to do very, very good from this position. So Tempo Storm did make a very good rotation. I think that is solely down to the fact they had vehicles that no one else in Severny had vehicles. If anyone else in Severny had vehicles, they probably would have escaped. Even GodRez here, they might have actually been able to pop a UAZ in the middle of the road and use the UAZ as a bit of cover if they had a UAZ available, which they didn't. So there was a lot of strategies available to the teams had they just had a vehicle. They it would have helped them, get around either to a different point of the circle or allowed them to put up some mobile cover. But unfortunately, there was no vehicles to be used, and they all died as a result of it. I'm now going to pass you over to the Pittsburgh Knights mental fitness coaches to give you a bit of their ideas on how the mentality of OpTic and the other teams went into this play and how they should have been reacting and playing confidently here.
Mental fitness analysis from match 2 of 12 at Dreamhack Austin PUBG, and we're going to look at OpTic Gaming in this next clip. Now remember, mental fitness analysis is not to determine the technicality of a certain play or circumstance. I'm not looking to determine, was this the best play by OpTic? Was it a mistake by them? Did they tactfully screw it up? No. We are meant to look at the mindset, mentality, leadership, communication, mental fitness aspect of this particular instance. So here's the scenario. We have OpTic Gaming, as you can tell, just in the white circle, and the blue is closing in. You've got two teams stuck in about 3 or 4 buildings there in Severny. That is Kinguin and GodRez. So again, this is not to determine whether this is a great circumstance for OpTic or not, but for objective purposes, we will determine that this is an advantageous position. Okay, they've set themselves up on a hill and essentially are preventing the other two teams from entering the circle, while they have to fight each other coming out of Severny. So there's a lot of advantages for OpTic here. Now, this is a great clip to analyze to avoid the dreaded choke, okay? Choking is when one person or team is in a power position or has a tremendous advantage, and the other team somehow overcomes that and defeats them. Now, we've all been there. It's not fun. And upon self-reflection, I think you would realize that a lot of choking comes down to more what we did to ourselves than what the other team actually overcame. So here in this scenario, okay, the first step to avoid choking is to not panic. We need to remain calm and confident. Now, OpTic has a 3-1 split, and here you actually see Headshore go down, but he is the one off by himself. He is not part of the 3 that are providing the gatekeep onto Kinguin and GodRez. So his knock should not affect the confidence of OpTic in their specific strategy here to gatekeep. He's off on his own. Now, if someone had been knocked by Hawaka, Valiant, or Hypoc, I would argue that it would be the opposite. That would start to create some chaos. That would definitely start to hinder the confidence a little bit of OpTic. But to this point, all 3 in the gatekeep are still alive. Good. Mission accomplished. Another clip that we see here is Kinguin is making a push to cross the road, which they have to do at some point. They have all the pressure. Kinguin and GodRez have the pressure in this scenario. They're the ones that are going to have to overcome a lot of obstacles to make good sense of this play. And here you see Vard essentially try to cross the street, and he's taken out. Now, again, another point to not choke is to not overextend or to shift your advantage. Okay, we see a lot of people sometimes make plays that they don't have to, riskier plays, and all that does is allow teams just the slight little window they need to perhaps get out of their hard circumstance. And so we see here an attempt by Vard to cross the street. Now, if Vard crosses over and gets a knock, or is able to even get in a position where he can see 2 of the guys, I mean, we might be looking at a different scenario, but this plays exactly right how OpTic wanted. They're forcing desperate people to cross the street into a scenario right into their sights, and it's taken care of. And as you see, they close this clip out by doing exactly what they set out to do, and both Kinguin and GodRez are not able to get out of Severny and into the next circle, and OpTic moves in as 3. So again, folks, you have to remember when you make decisions to get yourself into this scenario, you've got to be confident in them. You know, the decision's been made. You can't start second guessing yourself. You've got to go with the flow. And here we are looking at a team that remained calm and confident throughout. Nobody felt like they had to overextend to make some miraculous play. They were in the power position, and the other teams desperately tried, were not successful.